This is the mindful eating video sequel, part 2, mindful eating. So the other thing that bugs me about mindful eating is that it's, for anyone, I just think it's one of those stupid terms, a bit like intuitive eating. You just need to eat, and definitely don't make yourself eat at a rate that's slower than is natural for you. But the other thing that bugs me about mindful eating, especially when it comes to people with restrictive eating disorders, such as anorexia, is that it's absolutely not appropriate. Because if one has a restrictive eating disorder, one is already hyper aware of one's food intake. I knew down to the last grain of low-fat yogurt what I had eaten at any given time for the last at least 6 weeks. I had an amazing recall for the food that I'd eaten. It wasn't ever that difficult because most of all it didn't change day to day. But if you asked me when I was sick, if you asked me, what did you eat 2 weeks ago on Tuesday for lunch, I would have been able to tell you. And that's not normal. And that shows a brain that's in malnutrition and hyper-focused on food because it thinks food is scarce and therefore it needs to be hyper-focused on it. And mindful eating is saying that I should focus even more on my food. I was aware of every bite, painfully aware of every bite of food that I ever took. And then mindful eating's like, yeah, make sure that you don't have any distractions with you when you're eating. Are you fucking kidding me? That's the only way I could eat, by the way, distractions. Because I was so anxious around eating, I had to sit down and I usually would have the television or the radio on, and I'd have a Sudoku or cryptic crossword puzzle with me while I was eating. And that distraction actually helped me take a little bit of my anxiety off the food that I was eating and would enable me to think of something else while I was going through the process of eating, especially in the early stages when it was massively distressing for me to eat the amount of food that I also deep down wanted to eat. So the concept of mindful eating for a person who is already hyper-focused on food is ludicrous. That's why we need to eat mindlessly, not more mindfully if you have a restrictive eating disorder.